Somebody to love, and it is the big love word. Well, it would have been, really. Today, apparently, historically, the busiest wedding day of the year. But according to wedding industry research, 445,000 guests will not be attending a wedding today because of the coronavirus pandemic. Estimated more than 100,000 weddings have been postponed or cancelled since lockdown began across the UK. Let's bring in Emma Meek, who's from Miss Bush, the bridal company based in Ripley. Hello, good morning to you.
Hi, James. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Look, you've chatted on the station before about the challenges that the wedding industry is facing. So how's business in Ripley now for you?
Well, actually, there's a lot. We're very lucky. There's a lot of love and affection for us. We're a very well-established business, and our clients have been fabulous all the way through lockdown. Really supported us, and I think weddings are a much loved institution and part of people's social life, the fabric of society. So even though it's really challenging for us at the moment, we are still busy with people wanting to look at lovely dresses. So that's encouraging. Although we've had a lot of heartache with our clients this year.
Well, that's it, isn't it? The highs and the lows. How does your number of weddings this weekend compare maybe to the same time last year?
We've got two happening this weekend on a very, very small basis, and we had 16 last year, basically. So it's a tiny percentage. But actually, interestingly, the two that are happening this weekend weren't actually originally organised for this weekend. They're people that postponed from June. So actually, none of our August weddings have happened at all, and they should have been 39 of them.
Crikey, Mikey. Now, look, I know you wrote to the Mole Valley MP, Sir Paul Beresford, about your concerns. Have you heard back?
Not other than a very standard reply, and that's why I think the wedding industry is still campaigning, and they've really mobilised across all the different disciplines, whether it's catering or venues or people like me in retail. It's such a kind of multifaceted industry. I think it's quite hard for people to get their head around how much it's worth, which is why I think the campaigners have actually come up with very statistically big numbers for this weekend, because actually the value of the industry as a whole is worth more than live sport. I read in the actual research that's gone on, which is unbelievable. It's a £14 billion industry and supports loads of small companies, sole traders. So it's actually been quite hard to actually get those statistics together to really make a case for that people like Paul Beresford should actually pay a bit more attention.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from, because I met somebody at an event one time, and he and his wife basically decorated wedding shoes, which sounds like something out of nothing. But he said, oh, no, it's something we sort of started doing as a bit of a side hobby, and it's almost taken over our lives because it's so popular. And it's that kind of thing would just be blind to politicians, I would guess.
I think the whole lot of it is seen as very girly, quite trivial. But actually, this is not, there are, still we have, obviously we have same-sex marriages now, but there's still, men and women involved in weddings. Everyone loves them, otherwise they wouldn't happen. But it's been sort of cast aside as a cultural sort of cul-de-sac, I think. Whereas I think it should be recognised as an important phenomenon. And I did mention on the show before, I would equate it to being like Christmas. I mean, Christmas is worth 47 billion as opposed to 14 billion. But if you don't address these big cultural kind of institutions, you're going to end up with the same thing. Nobody's mentioned Christmas yet. But it's so if you don't look at what these the fun parts of life create for the economy and also for people's emotional, spiritual well-being, and it does make me laugh looking at this bank holiday. It's classically miserable and wet and horrible. But you would still have kind of got out with your umbrella, and the bride would have got out of the car, and it would all been raining and everybody. That sort of almost that Dunkirk spirit would have got you through the bank holiday weekend, wouldn't it? So I think it's I think it's a big lack on the cultural landscape, definitely.
Emma, you're in a beautiful part of the world. How's Ripley been, do you think?
Oh, Ripley's fabulous. I mean, it's so full of strong personalities, eccentrics, and all independent businesses in the main. So it's been fantastic. We've missed a bit of rock star activity with lockdowns. Love to see whatever bands are kind of recording here. It's always quite fun to see them.
Yeah, well, you're basically talking. Well, of course, Paul Weller's got Black Barn Studios there, and so
yes, absolutely.
So who have you spotted apart from the man himself?
Well, do you know, the thing is, the trouble with me is I'm a bit middle-aged, so I just see kind of cool kids there, and they've all got the sort of, Weller homage hairdo and the long sideburns. And I think, well, you must be in a band because you look so fabulous, and you're all sitting there, sort of, talking to the big man himself. So honestly, but there is a number. I'm so bad, but we have all sorts of people. There's another recording studio quite close. So James Morrison's always around and things. So there's all sorts of people. It's a very strange, thing. You just walk out and you think, oh, cool people in Ripley.
Well, it's a beautiful
It
part
makes a
of the
change
world.
from it is. It makes a change from cyclists, which is a lot of days as well. So.
And what about other shops there? Because you've got Nest and Pinnock's, the coffee shops. They're a real good draw for people. And of course, what I have noticed when I've driven around that way and also gone and walked the dog, so many more people are actually out on the water, paddle boarding and walking. It's almost like I think they've invaded my space a bit, really.
I know I don't really want to say it's a hidden gem because we've got so many definitely restaurants, cafes, and shops. But you do feel a bit like, well, how did everybody else know there was a weir, and how are people in the woods now? It is. It's one of those places. It's such a lovely place to go. The cyclists have all made it very much a stop-off point on the Ride 100 route. So it's just got that fascination. But it is incredible how eccentric and fabulous everyone is that has their own business. Putting together Ripley Business Association was it's quite the struggle actually, but because everybody's definitely got very clear ideas about how they do things. But it's been really interesting to see a community come together. And again, one of the upsides of the adversity we've all faced this year.
And what's the actual aim of that association then?
Well, it's to really make sure that we protect and preserve the character of the high street. All our clients love the fact that everything is independent. So but we've got lots of empty units, and obviously retail is facing huge challenges. So what we want to try and do is create a business community which is fully collaborative, so that we can develop our own Instagram and our own marketing capabilities. So that would also encourage inward investment. So if we've got empty units, people would love to think, well, I'm going to go and put my business here because here is a business community ready to support me with a marketing network and a kind of collective attitude, just to really protect the place as a to keep it really thriving. When you look at Guildford at the moment and other major town centres, the cost of being there is very expensive. There's a lot of empty units, and it makes things feel a little bit derelict. And I just don't want to have that to happen to Ripley.
All right. Well, look, lovely talking to you. Enjoy today, and shame that there aren't more.
Freezing cold bank holiday. We'll just try and create a bit of wedding joy inside our little chapel here.
Emma, lovely talking.